Hello, I'm Allison Twohig, and this is the Evocative Daisy marketing plan. The Evocative Daisy is a jewelry company that specializes in selling vintage and vintage-inspired pieces. The following marketing plan will show you how it will be marketed through various mediums and social media platforms. First, it is important to look at the market environment that the company is in. The Evocative Daisy is kind of a niche market that does not have a lot of specific information about it, so I looked at the jewelry, resale, and vintage jewelry markets for my information. What I found is that the resale market is growing exponentially, which we already knew because of the increased environmental concerns from millennials and Gen Z, which I will talk more about in my target market. Buying vintage jewelry also saw an uptick over the course of COVID-19 in the upper class wealth brackets, showing that even those with higher incomes are willing to buy secondhand, especially jewelry. Finally, vintage inspiration is seen on the runways in some form of another pretty much every year, though this year we are seeing 1970 and 1990 inspired motifs by Van Cleef, Cartier, Hermes, and Bulgari. On a more mainstream level, I looked at the Etsy report about upcoming jewelry trends that are based on their most searched items. So they looked at how 70s, 80s, and 90s inspired pieces are going to be important this year, such as pressed florals, microbeading, and enamel, all of which can be utilized in the Evocative Daisy products that are manufactured. In terms of world factors, I did a pest analysis to organize this information. For political and legal, I was really looking at the corporate income tax plans that were put in place by the Biden administration. They shouldn't affect small businesses like the Evocative Daisy, but something like that is important to look at for the future, as well as the tariff situation, though that plan is not being changed quite yet. In the future, it could, and that could affect cost and overseas relations for manufacturing. Economic factors, of course, are important because of the downtick in the economy from last year. Good news is that the American and world economies are supposed to be increasing this year, America by 6.5% and the world by 5.2%, so always good there. As for social factors, I looked into kind of the biggest show of the year so far, which was WandaVision, that actually has a vintage element to it. Each episode was filmed in a different decade, and it definitely got people talking about wearing clothes from that decade. So that's an interesting information about just the pop culture right now. As well as on social media, people are turning away from those who flaunt their affluence. So people are looking at more relatable influencers who go thrifting and do more relatable activities because of the tough year we had last year, which really plays into the idea of like resale that the Evocative Daisy is doing. Finally, for technological factors, not much I don't think would affect the Evocative Daisy, except for areas of online shopping that can be improved, like faster shipping methods or 3D imaging for products. When looking at competitors, I found that ModCloth, Etsy vintage shops, and then just resale websites were the biggest competitors. ModCloth, definitely because they have an established customer base, they have a wide range of products, they understand online shopping logistics, and they are just established as like a vintage inspired brand. However, they are not focused on the jewelry market, they don't tap into the actual vintage resale market, and they don't have strong marketing strategies. As for Etsy, they don't really have to keep up with a website because Etsy does it for them. They have established product selection and vintage sourcing, and you can find really unique products on there. However, it's hard to gain exposure through Etsy. Most of them don't have their own facilities, and their shipment isn't as great. And sometimes the specific customer base can be too specific, and it doesn't appeal to everyone or a wider audience. And as for resale websites, they're easy transactions, good for the environment, though they are almost impossible to find anything you want, no marketing strategies, and most are just one-time sales. To compare to my competitors, I made a SWOT analysis. So for strengths, there are no other brands like this on the market. There's a wide range of products for a lot of different types of people. It's more sustainable with the resale aspect, and it does follow the trends of today. Weaknesses come in the form of shipping and receiving resale products, stigma with buying old jewelry, and logistics of refurbishing old jewelry. Opportunities through marketing, absolutely, because there isn't much with resale jewelry when it comes to marketing. So if we could do that in a cool way, it could really catch the eye of people. Um, Collaborating with smaller influencers, especially in the vintage sphere, and then tapping into newer trends and upcoming trends. Lastly, threats obviously would be similar business models coming into the market, overseas relations because they're a little rocky because of last year, and then the overall changing social media atmosphere for like marketing strategies and the marketing platforms. Here is the target market board. So the evocative daisy target customer is a young, fun-loving woman who is social, has a creative career, lives more sustainably than the average person, but not to the point that it runs her life. But she does love to thrift and buy vintage clothing to really fit into her lifestyle. Here, the demographics are written out more specifically. So, in summary, the gender is mostly females. Age demographic is 20 to 30, which is older Gen Z, younger millennials. Everybody, every ethnicity can shop here and would love to shop here. Marital status, single or very newly married, very young relationship. They do not have kids because they're more focused on their career. They're in creative careers like communications, freelance, architecture, journalism, and their income is between 30 and 80K because they're still younger. And they have at least a high school degree, and their acronyms would be the NEETs or the YADs. Here are the psychographics. There is a lot of information here, but to summarize, the target customer is a very confident, social, cultured, creative person who loves to travel. She is concerned about the environment, but it doesn't run her life. She tries to buy secondhand because it's good for the environment, but she also just loves the vintage aesthetic. She does think about her decisions before purchasing because she doesn't have a lot of disposable income, but when she sees something she likes, she thinks more emotionally. This is the geographic information. The customer most likely lives in a larger or mid-sized city in North America or Europe, and they could be in any climate situation. It really doesn't impact the jewelry market. The target market is looking for products that will be just as unique and creative as they are. They're more price sensitive because they are younger, so they think through their decisions when purchasing. However, they're willing to purchase products of higher price if they are good quality and worth it. This demographic is also loyal to brands that have gained their trust and will refer them to friends and family. Finally, it is important to note that this customer base is present on social media and is looking for something that will make them different from everyone else. They like to dress with the vintage aesthetic and get their clothing from stores that are like thrift stores, Etsy shops. They like Levi's and the ModCloth aesthetic, and they play into, again, vintage trends. They look for quality. They like colorful graphics and patterns, and they like other over-the-top trends as well. Now I will be talking about the Evocative Daisy marketing objectives. Since this is a startup, the most important objective is to create brand awareness so that we can gain exposure, as well as obviously attract new customers, increase social media engagement, and further define our brand image. In terms of product assortment, the Evocative Daisy will be selling earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets. The resale aspect of the company can follow any decade depending on what product is being received. However, the manufactured goods will stick to the 1910s through 1990s for inspiration, with a heavy focus on the 20s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s because they are the most popular with the target market. And here is a more visual representation of the product selection. The Evocative Daisy is an online store that can only be found through its social media platforms and internet searches. It will have keywords attached to it like vintage jewelry, refurbished jewelry, and specified by decade. Price is also an important aspect for the customer, so it is crucial that the products stay affordable. Our products are considered mid-priced because they range from $20 to $70 for the manufactured goods, but the resold products can get even higher based on quality and materials. Finally, we are moving on to the marketing strategies, which will be in the form of images and videos on Instagram and TikTok. Specifically, these strategies are vintage and thrift influencer endorsement, a photo shoot for the Evocative Daisy Instagram, and a video collection for the Evocative Daisy TikTok page. The first marketing strategy is an Instagram endorsement by influencers Brittany and Samantha. These women are known for their vintage and vintage inspired styling and sourcing. They have high quality photos and shoot concepts that fall into the vintage theme. They also do sponsorships with brands, which makes them the perfect people to do this collaboration with. They would be posting a photo and a video on their Instagram stories because nowadays stories are the best way for exposure. The photo will be of them wearing the product we send them, and then the video will be them explaining the Evocative Daisy brand and what we stand for. This allows for a lot of information about the brand in terms of value, concept, and product. Next is a standard photo shoot for the Evocative Daisy Instagram. This concept is meant to be an over-the-top 60s inspired shoot with large floral headdresses and minimal clothing to bring the attention to the jewelry being worn. I wanted to have high saturation of colors to catch the eye of social media users and interesting camera shots using the reflection of water. The point of this strategy is to show a creative shoot that will make potential customers interested for future content and product. Finally, we will be doing an oddly satisfying video compilation for TikTok because it is a wildly popular video concept that gets tons of views. This will simply consist of a sped up video of the resale jewelry being cleaned and ready to be sold, thus showing the customer base our process and cleaning methods with the purpose of building trust. This idea also can be done time and time again with all the new pieces that need to be refurbished, giving it an endless supply of content. Here's the budget breakdown for all the marketing strategies. The total budget is $4,000, with half of it going to pay the sponsorship cost of the influencer endorsement, but other than that, there are no marketing costs for posting on Instagram or TikTok. Therefore, the rest of the budget is going towards the photo shoot production. The rollout of all the marketing materials will happen over the month of June. Each piece will be released on different days for maximum exposure. Our Instagram shoots will be shared on alternating Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, whereas the TikTok videos will be released every Tuesday and Thursday. And the influencer post will be shared within the first and third weeks of the month, depending on the influencer schedule. In order to track how effective the marketing is, we will be looking at the social media growth and website traffic separately. On Instagram and TikTok, there are ways to track activity, and we will be looking at follower counts, like to view ratios, as well as share, saves, and mentions to see how much more or less is gotten post marketing initiatives. Similarly, on the website, we will be using a Google Analytics type system to track website traffic, sales, where the customer is coming from, and what products are being purchased. This is to see which social media app is the most effective, if the products in the marketing campaigns are being purchased, and how much more is being bought than previously. Well, this is the end of my Evocative Daisy marketing plan, and I just wanted to say thank you, Lacey, for an awesome year, and I hope you have a great summer.